After graduating college, I've been working in a corporate job for an industry leading company for over 2 years now. And since I've been hearing this a lot recently, especially on social media and all my friends around me, be your own boss. So I had to sit down, research, and talk to some people who are entrepreneurs and talk to some people who do 9 to 5 every day. And in this video, we're going to discuss which is better to give you a better understanding of both sides, and then you pick. We're going to discuss three key important factors that's going to help you choose which path to take. First, work-life balance. Second is your mentorship and what it takes to be successful in life. Third, the risk involved in both these paths.
Alright guys, let's look at the first thing, which is probably the most important, which is why we go to work or start a business, is to make money, to live our lives better. Let's talk about work-life balance. Now when you go from a 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship, talking to everybody, they all had very similar things to say. It's basically you're trading your schedule that's a 9 to 5 p.m. and it ends at 5 into working 24/7. Now, let's take a look at what this really means. As an entrepreneur, you can have an unpredictable work-life balance. You're probably working evenings, you might be working weekends, and then you start sacrificing personal time for work. A lot of people that we talked to, they said they had deadlines to reach. A lot of times they took debt or started small business loans, or they had card debt started on their company credit cards. So the chances are, if you're starting out, you're not gonna have a bunch of employees underneath you. And especially when you have investors to pay back, when it hits 5 p.m., you're more so worried about how you're going to pay those people back. So you keep working on the next day, the next week, the next quarter, the next annual year, and making plans on how you're going to get there. Now, in a 9 to 5, the benefit is at 5 p.m., it's over. At 5:05, you probably go home. Unless you're in, I understand there's some industry like investment banking and stuff like that. But ever since COVID, I've seen a huge shift in our industry, and where work-life balance and mental health is a huge emphasis. It's just something we just can't ignore now. People focus on a good work-life balance, and companies are starting to realize this. You're starting to see a lot of companies start offering positions where Fridays are remote now. And if you want to have a good work-life balance, you need to be well set in. You need to pay somebody else to work for you. Chances are, starting out, you're not going to hire somebody soon, and you're probably going to be there. If you're going to hire somebody, you must absolutely need them. And you also have to pay them well in this day and age of inflation as well. And good work is really hard to come by. Another thing is PTO. Now when you're working in a corporate world, starting out, you get at least 3 to 4 weeks off, and as you work your way up, you start getting 6 weeks and more. You have a lot of time off that you're going to get paid, and you're also on a salary, so you're on a fixed income. You can also budget. Now business, a lot of these businessmen talked about how they have ups and downs, and they have to forecast their seasons. So you have no way of being ready, and you're kind of reacting as you're in a business. Now when you're in it for a longer period of time, you can kind of start to consider when you're gonna have your peak seasons, when you're gonna have your down seasons, given nothing crazy like something like COVID happens. But an interesting fact is, for about 7 years, which is a very, very long time, you're still considered a startup company. And startup failing statistics have shown, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 20% of new businesses fail within the first 2 years. 45% fail in the first 5 years. And a staggering 65% of businesses fail within the first 10 years. That means only 25% make it past the 15-year mark. So if you're young in your 20s and 30s and you're looking into something like job security, a big focus on that we had a debate was entrepreneurs tend to make a point where they work for themselves. And yeah, that's awesome. You don't have to answer to anybody else. That's a great pro. But you're on your own. You're your own boss, and you might have to grow. You might have employees working for you, whereas in a company, no matter how much you work your way up, you never become the owner. An entrepreneur, nobody can fire you. You're not going to fire yourself. The only thing is your business can fail, and then you're going to be stranded. Now, a downside where people talk about 9 to 5 jobs is you're constantly answering to somebody else.
You've done a hell of a lousy job. You're late. I'm sorry. You're fired. Get out of here.
There's somebody, you always have to request for a time off. You always have to answer to someone else. You're always going to be held accountable for no matter how many times you get promoted. no matter how high you get in the company, how big your ego gets, no matter if you're making millions of dollars in a VP or executive position, you're always going to have a boss until you became an entrepreneur and you become the owner of a company. You will always have to answer to somebody, and a lot of times we generally tend to hate our bosses, and very few times we actually end up really liking them. So liking the people who you work for, being an entrepreneur, that's a plus because you get to choose your own team. And with that side, as an employee, there's a lot of times you don't have too much influence, if any at all, on who gets hired and who gets to work with you. Now, we just talked a lot about the percentages where a startup or a company can fail. Listen, you can get fired from the job, but the odds of are even higher if you start a business company of failing. What you invested your money in, if your business fails, if you have a job, you can join another company, or you can kind of start a foreshadow and start searching for a different job before you get fired. And also, you build a great resume. You only work your way up higher and higher and higher, even when you're job hopping. We're in this day and age of job hopping. You make way more money. This is not 30, 40 years ago where our parents were staying loyal to a company for 25 years until retirement. On the other hand, it's very hard to start another business. People are constantly leaving their jobs for a better job. Just look at last week. We saw the CEO of Chipotle leave and join Starbucks and become their CEO. I was baffled. I never thought someone that far high up in a company that's worth billions of dollars would just leave and join another competitor in the industry. He basically left for someone else in the same industry and became their CEO. And if someone at that high of a level, at that major company can do it, listen, you can do it too. And another good thing about working jobs and companies is, look, if you want your business to be successful, you have to be good. Do the same thing for a company. A lot of times people just come in and they half-ass it. They don't do a great job. Be an all-star, perform well. You never see all-star players on NBA, NFL, or even corporate jobs getting fired, because that's what makes their business run. Yeah, there's layoffs, and who do you think they're gonna lay off first? The people that are not performing well. If you're a good, high-performing individual, if you're watching this channel, you probably want to improve, you want to make it towards the top, this does not apply to you. You're the people, have that confidence, bet on yourself. Just how entrepreneurs bet on themselves to make a successful business, you have to do the same in a corporate world. No one starts at the bottom and stays there. Once you graduate, get a degree or get a certification, you start at the bottom and then you work your way up in the company. Now we're going to segue into the next part, is how you actually become successful in a 9-to-5 or an entrepreneurship. When we talk to people who are in area managers and successful businessmen, they all said one thing: you need a mentor that's going to show you that's going to guide you to success. Someone who's been there, they've done it, they're going to show you the way. And the same goes for being an entrepreneur and a 9-to-5 person who works in the corporate world. No matter what industry you're in, no matter how simple, how hard or complicated it is, you need to know how the industry moves and works. And it's always good to have someone offer you a mentorship, someone who's just gonna tell you what to do and how to react in certain situations and create a path for you that you should follow, someone that you can lean on. One thing about an entrepreneurship is no one's going to tell you what to do. I mean, remember, you're your own boss, right? So you kind of have to figure it out yourself. Now, in any corporate world that's a decently structured and has a good job, you're always going to have a manager. You have an area manager, a branch manager, then you start getting to the directors, and then you're going to have vice presidents in different areas. There's a chain. So year in and year out, you're going to get performance reviews. And if you're in a good company, which is a task in finding one as well, but once you find a good one, they are going to provide you structure and guidance. They're going to tell you where you're doing wrong, what you need to focus on, and if you want to work your way up, they'll help you build a plan so you could get promoted. Now, keep in mind, there are a lot of corporate world politics that you need to be aware of, and that's why you need to have mentors, people in your corner that you can, vent out to and seek guidance for. They don't just throw you in a loop and expect you to know everything. Listen, when you join a company, you get trained on the systems of the industry, how the branches work, and how everything it takes to be successful. When you have your own business, you're the boss. You wake up each and every day and you decide what to do. Now, the good thing is, as we talked about, there is no one telling you what to do. that's also the bad thing. There is no one to tell you what to do. You have to ask your own questions and you have to find the answers on your own as well. We talk about first-time experiences. These are good experiences to learn from, but a lot of people, a lot of the entrepreneurs said they're rough. You know, you have to learn from your mistakes. You have to take losses to learn how to profit, but those can sometimes wipe you out and take your business out. We just talked about the statistics of failures. You don't want to have to learn yourself at a pricey cost. You would much rather learn from someone else's loss so you don't repeat the same mistakes.
All right, guys, let's talk about risk. In a 9 to 5, you have minimal risk. What's the worst thing that could happen to you? You could get fired, but then again, you can just go and find yourself another job. Because you have experience on your side. You have skills, you have experience. So it might take some time, but you will end up finding another job.
And if you're good at your job and you get fired for some whatever reason, you can have recommendations as well. You know how to work in a corporate environment.
But meanwhile, in entrepreneurship, you're always one bad decision away from losing it all. One bad investment or decision could literally lead you to bankruptcy. Let's look at Red Lobster. They were already struggling after COVID-19, and the company made its once limited $20 Ultimate Endless Shrimp deal a permanent offering and a boost, hoping it would boost their sales, it would increase the foot traffic. And apparently they underestimated how many customers would literally get in, blaming the promotion for more than 11 million operating loss in the third quarter of 2023, which is leading them to bankruptcy. So the risk is always there in both sides. 9 to 5, you have minimal risk, but in an entrepreneurship, if you have your own business, risk is 100% yours. All right, guys, thanks for watching and sticking around till the end. Hope you got some insights on which path is better, pros and cons of both paths, business versus 9 to 5.
I mean, if you stayed to this long, you might as well hit the like and subscribe button. We got some great new content coming out. And let us know what you guys think. Which one would you prefer? If you had a perfect scenario where you didn't have any, risks or repercussions, which one would you want to do? And then with the risk, which one would you rather prefer, considering all the cons and the downfalls that we touch on with both sides? And yeah, guys, till next time, peace.